Happy New Year, crafty friends. Let's make a quick card that's full of sparkle and hope for the new year. This is about what our finished card is going to look like. I'm going to do one thing a little different on this one. You can see on the letters here, they get a little bit lost with the shine from the fireworks behind it. So I'm going to mount those on black this time. But I'll show you the dimensions and the supplies I used and how to put this together. I'll set this off to the side here. All right, so we are going to be using the Light the Sky dies and stamp set. I'm going to use 3 of the big fireworks to cut a design into the black paper that will then layer over the gold paper. And then I also am using the Happy New Year from the stamp set there. We start out with a normal card base that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And then our next layer is going to be a piece of gold sparkle paper that is 1/4 inch less on both sides. So it's going to be 5 1/4 high by 4 inches wide. And that gives us, I guess, like an 1/8 of an inch around all the sides. That'll layer on top of the white card base. And then a piece of black cardstock, again, 1/4 inch less, so 5 inches tall, 3 3/4 inches wide. And then this is the paper that I've die cut those fireworks into. So I used 3 different sizes of the fireworks and just ran these through the die cut machine. And then this part comes together very easily. So we're just gonna layer them one on top of the other. I'm gonna use tape for the glitter paper. And just center it on the front of the card base, like that. And then on this one, I could either use tape or glue. Let me see if there's enough space I can kind of hide the tape without going into the cutout part. I think this will be fine. You could use glue on this as well. And so this just gets centered again on top of the gold glitter paper. And look how those fireworks look. Like they are already lighting up with the black in front of it and the gold in the background. Now for our year, I used the Alphabet a la Mode dies, which are these beautiful skinny alphabet, and they come with numbers as well. So I've cut out of the same gold glitter paper the letters 20, 25. And I'm going to mount it this time on a piece of black cardstock. I'm going to cut the cardstock around the letters. So it doesn't really matter what size paper you start with, as long as your, not letters, numbers fit on them. And what I've done to hopefully make this a little easier to adhere, these letters are very thin. So I used adhesive sheets. You stick, you cut this the size of your cardstock. So I had a piece about as big as this black piece. And you cut a piece of adhesive sheet to match. You peel off one side and tape that essentially to the back of your cardstock. And then run it through the die cut machine. And then you should be able to peel off the bottom layer like a sticker. So see how that's peeling off? And then it's sticky underneath. So that's how you make a sticker out of a cardstock or glitter paper cutout, is using, it's called adhesive sheets, and it comes really with a ton, so it would take quite some time to use it all. But then the letters are stuck down nice and flat, and you're not messing around with glue and getting it all over your fingers, although you can also do that if you would like. And honestly, that's what I did on the first card that I made. And then I decided I should get out my adhesive sheets. So we'll stick down the numbers, and they really sparkle on top of the black. Okay, this one I might have messed up a little bit. All right. I pulled too many layers off on this one. So let's see if I can glue this one and save it. If not, I'll go cut another 5. That's fine. Okay, so I had to use a little glue, but not too much. Now that's really going to stand out against the fireworks. So let me just trim this down to size. I like to use the paper trimmer even when I'm doing something really small like this, because you get nice straight edges. And it just takes a second if you leave it near your desk. So I'm trimming very close to the numbers. I don't want a big background, just enough so that the numbers themselves will be visible against the background of the fireworks. I will tape this down. And then we're going to do a little bit of embossing. So now I just want the word happy to put on my card. And the stamp I have says, wishing you a happy new year. But I just want to get the happy out of that. So there's a couple ways you can do it. One is I could stamp just off the edge so that the new year part doesn't show. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a little bit of tape and cover up the part that I don't want while I go and put the Versamark ink on my pad, onto the stamp. So these two words now will not be inked up. I'm gonna use the embossing buddy over my paper here just to avoid some of the static. So you can see now the only part that's showing is the happy. So I'm gonna ink that up with my Versamark ink, which is just like a clear, kind of gluey ink that'll allow the embossing powder to stick to it. Now I peel off these 2 pieces of tape that have the ink on it, and the stamp underneath is dry. So I should get just the word happy. Inked up there. Looks pretty good, although I got a little bit down here because I did use this just a minute ago with the other ink on it. So kind of wipe that off. And then we will sprinkle on the embossing powder. Shake that around to cover it. Tap it extra off. And there's a little bit here. So while it's not yet set, you can clean up your image. And you can use your finger for this. You can use a little paintbrush, a dry paintbrush. I'm just using the corner of my embossing buddy to get most of that extra off. And now I will heat set it. So apologize for the noise for a minute. And there's the magic of embossing. I love when you can watch the powder melt and you get this nice shiny surface. And then I'm going to cut this down to size because it's going to be going here. So I want it a little bit thinner, and I'm going to leave a little bit on each side of the word so that I can put a little notch in it. I'm going to trim it this way. Perfect. Got my little snips. I think I want this just to be a little bit shorter. So put a little notch. And I'm going to do that on both sides. And then I have a nice shiny happy on a black background that I can put on my card right there. I think I want this popped up a bit. You know how I love to pop things up with some dimensional tape. I love this card. It's so sparkly and it's reminding me of all of the hope and optimism that goes with a brand new year. So much sparkle. There we go. Happy 2025. I'm going to make a small batch of these cards and give them to some of the people that I work with. I'm starting a new role at work on the 1st and working with a couple new people. And I think this would be a great way to kick off the new year.